coaching in teams, right? Because especially when you're looking at people in more senior leadership positions, you've got a lot more control about who you select for your team is, who you're surrounded with, and often because there's advantages and disadvantages of every personality trait, of every skill. So how do you coach people or talk to people about kind of making an effective team as well as making an effective leader?
Well, we work a lot with teams. There are a number of dynamics to this. The first thing is we coach the leader themselves, and how do they work with their team, what's their style, how do they impact. We also talk, when we work with teams, to all of the individuals in the team privately to understand what is the team dynamic, what's happening in that team. We use psychometrics for teams as well, and actually whether it be HPTI, whether it be DISC, whether it be MBTI, or whether it be Hogan, we can get some data about how this team works together. Now ideally a leader would choose their team and define their team, but in the real world quite often their team is already self-formed when they get promoted into the role or they join an organisation. They may change 1 or 2 members of the team, but the team is the team. And so what we try to do is we do work quite often with the Lencioni model or with other models around how does this group work together? Do they trust each other? Are they accountable? Do they focus on results? How do they interact? We're very keen to see how they work together in pursuit of their goals and their objectives. So the personality dynamic is complex, but again, data helps, and frankness and open conversations help. So when we work with teams, we work with them as individuals, but we're also keen that there is constructive conversations in the room about how they work together. Constructive conflict's important, openness is important, and actually once people understand each other's styles, they then begin to understand how they can work better together. So there's some really useful work that can be done using either psychometrics or other data to help a team work effectively together.
Yeah. Are there any really common problems you see in teams?
Oh, absolutely. The first common problem is that they don't trust each other. They don't know each other very well, and there are therefore problems that arise out of mistrust, because without trust, you don't know why the other person is making the points that they're making. So that can create real problems in the team. The second one is ability to deal with difficult issues in a constructive way. So either teams are too polite and they don't raise the difficult issues, and all the difficult issues are done one-on-one outside of the room, or even not dealt with at all, the classic elephant in the room, rather than let's talk about this in a objective way. And sometimes issues get raised, but they become very emotional, and you get conflict. So it's getting that skill in the room where people are willing to talk about difficult things in a way that's non-personal and is focused on how do we get a great solution. So I think trust and open and frank conversations are the foundation. You then move on to practical things like, are they accountable? Are they committed to that team? And do they get the results?
So if there's a lot of mistrust in a group, they might be mistrustful of a coach as well, right? So how do you get that buy-in from the team, especially if you need the whole team to be really involved?
That's a really interesting question, actually. As an external facilitator, you sometimes do have the benefit of being the umpire, the referee, the non-partisan person. So that's the privilege of being a coach. I suppose the second part is in the private conversations, we establish rapport. We use ethical boundaries. We're not going to repeat those conversations elsewhere. And I find surprisingly that people are very open about that stuff. They actually do trust you as a coach. That's your job. And they probably know deep down that if you don't respect those things, you're not going to get a great outcome. So I've generally found people to be very trusting through that process. But you're right that in the most dysfunctional teams, building trust is between the coach and the people you're working with is incredibly important. But ultimately, I think the fact that we're impartially trying to help them achieve higher performance, people tend to build trust that way. But as you work with them, they are observing you critically to make sure that you're not just enacting what the leader wants, or that you're not taking a position within the room on one side or the other if there are some differences of opinion.